Okay. We are live for chapter 5. Live for chapter 5. Live for chapter 5 of Purim. Okay, Esther chapter 5. Look, that is your number 5 in Hebrew. Awesome, right? Okay. It came to be on the third day that Esther put on royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the sovereign's palace in front of the sovereign's house, whole, while the sovereign sat on the royal throne in the royal house, opposite the entrance of the house. And it came to be when the sovereign saw Sovereigness Esther standing in the court that she found favor in his eyes, and the sovereign held out to Esther the golden scepter, which was in his hand, and Esther went near and touched the top of the scepter, and went near and touched the top of the scepter. That is worth saying again. I'll say it again. And Esther went near and touched the top of the scepter. And the sovereign said to her, "What is it, sovereigness Esther? And what is your request?" "Up to half my reign, and it is given to you." And Esther answered, "If it pleases the sovereign, let the sovereign and Haman come today to the feast which I have prepared for him." And the sovereign said, "Get Haman at once to do as Esther has said." Then the sovereign and Haman went to the feast which Esther had prepared. And the sovereign said to Esther at the feast of wine, "What is your petition? And it is given you. And what is your request? Up to half my reign, and it is done." And Esther answered and said, "My petition and request is this: if I have found favor in your eyes, in the eyes of the sovereign, and if it please the sovereign to give my petition and perform my request, then let the sovereign and Haman come to the feast which I made for them, and tomorrow I shall do according to the words of the sovereign." And Haman went out that day rejoicing and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordekai in the sovereign's gate, and that he did not stand or tremble before him, he was filled with wrath against Mordekai. This time it says trembled rather than do obeisance. I wonder if trembling before God is not fear but obeisance. That is interesting. That was verse 9. Let's see. In Hebrew, you can take a picture of it and search it out if you happen to know a lot of Hebrew. I'm going to look it up, see if it's the same word. But Haman held himself in and came to his house, and he sent and called for his lovely ones and Zeresh his wife. And Haman recounted to them the esteem of his wealth and his many sons, and all in which the sovereign had promoted him, and how he had exalted him above the officials and servants of the sovereign. And Haman said, besides Esther the sovereigness, let no one but me come in with the sovereign to the feast which she prepared. And tomorrow too I am invited by her along with the sovereign. But all this does not suit me as long as I see Mordekai, the Yahudi. Yahudi is, for the name for Jew, but it's also the name of God, because look at it. Let's see if I can get focused on it. It's YH. Let me see if I can point to it. Right there. YH. What YAH is Yah. Yahudi. So it's referring to God. You see? God's people. Yahudi. It really doesn't mean Jew. It really doesn't mean Jewish. It doesn't mean, it just means like they're marked with him, right? The YAHUDI. Yahudi. Sorry. Okay, I found myself. So I'm verse 13. But all of this does not suit me as long as I see Mordekai the Yahudi sitting in the sovereign's gates. So his wife Zeresh and all his loved ones said to him, let a timber be made 50 amon high. Amon high, okay. And in the morning speak to the sovereign that Haman be hanged on it, and go with the sovereign to the feast, rejoicing. And the word pleased Haman, and he had the timber made. Okay, so just like Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, died on a timber, that's not a cross. It didn't say put him on a cross. It says a stake or a timber. Isn't that neat? That even Haman had intent not to hang Mordekai, as in the way we think. He was going to hang him on a timber, just like was done to another Yehudi that we know about. The main one, Yeshua HaMashiach. Ooh, I want to read another chapter so bad. I guess there's nothing wrong with it. Or maybe I should just settle there. The fact that, so that it can be focused on. That last verse of the chapter 5, verse 14, you've got the description of how a timber was made. Just like the serpent was hung on a timber to take away the snake bite in the wilderness. And just like Yeshua, Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, was hung on a timber for our sins. Look, there is so many, almost, there's just so many of them. I've been mentioning, if you follow my channel, you wouldn't believe how many times that I find that other people died on a timber. Or was, this one's a planned death, but it didn't happen, thank God. God bless you, and I'll shut it off here so that it will be emphasis on the timber. Okay? God bless. Bye-bye.